Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new TEAM therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, David, and welcome to all of our listeners to the Feeling Good podcast throughout the country, the world, and the galaxy. This is episode 489, and we have a very special guest, someone I feel very close to, Richard Lamb. Richard Lamb is a licensed marriage and family therapist. He's in private practice in Mountain View, California, and he also sees clients throughout California online. He's a graduate of the Palo Alto University, and he currently provides short-term therapy for anxiety, depression, people suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, who want to overcome their habits and addictions, and people who have relationship concerns, using David's model of TEAM CBT therapy. Richard also trains other therapists in David's model, and he's currently a level 5 master therapist and trainer in TEAM CBT therapy. So we welcome you, Richard.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Good to see you, Rhonda, David.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and congrats on the all the creative and cool things you're doing.
Thank you. Happy to talk about that today.
Just to get this out of the way, we'll put your contact information if somebody is looking for therapy, or therapist looking for training in one of your groups, that type of thing. That anyone can contact you at richard@feelinggoodinstitute.com. And Feeling Good Institute is all one word. So it's just richard@feelinggoodinstitute.com. So tell us what you're going to tell us today that's kind of new and exciting, and going to be inspiring to our many millions of listeners. I mean, to all 10 of our listeners.
Well, on one hand, of course, I want to talk a little bit about the training group, but most importantly, I think there's been a lot of forms that I've been creating that really supplements your work, David, and has helped a lot of people with either understanding the concepts more or being able to apply it for themselves as like a self-help sort of thing.
Yes, I love what you're doing from 2 points of view, Richard. You've always had the reputation of being one of the smartest and clearest thinkers in our TEAM CBT community, with a special ability similar to Jill's to take complicated techniques and break them down into simple steps that people can follow and learn from. And I've also been taken by your motivation to do as much as possible for free, or for very little cost, with an awareness that so many people who are struggling don't have the means to reach out for good psychotherapeutic help, or even if they have a lot of money, they can get stuck with psychotherapy that's not going anywhere. And so I just love the fact that you're doing a lot, creating a lot of resources for free. And I don't know if, I think you, Rhonda, will remember Adam Holman. I don't know if you encountered him, Richard.
Mm-hmm.
He was somebody who was on a podcast. He was from Arizona, and he is some kind of maybe has a degree in clinical social work, but he really took to TEAM and really learned it. And then he came and he was working with our app company. He moved to San Francisco from Phoenix for a few months. And then after a few months, he decided to leave our company, although he was really really great, a really warm person and a clear thinker. And he went to Thailand, and he's been functioning kind of as a Buddhist monk, although it's not through Buddhism, but he's just in the Buddhist monk community. And he just sees people for free. And then if they want to give him food or give him something, in appreciation. So I thought that was, wow, that is so awesome. And I haven't heard from him for a couple of months. It might be fun, Rhonda, to get him back on the show too and see how he's doing with his new daring and radical approach to life.
Yeah, I'm actually in communication with him, so that could be easy.
That sounds exciting.
How is he doing? Well, let's get on to Richard.
Let's talk about Richard.
No,
I'm super proud that Richard and I worked together teaching in the Wednesday group for a couple of years. And we started our group during COVID. We have international membership, and we've trained quite a few really awesome TEAM CBT therapists. And when Richard left the group, he started his own group. We adapted our group because it was so hard to replace him. I also have a new awesome co-teacher, Kai Chen. But instead of Kai and I doing all of the teaching, we rotate the teaching amongst all of the participants so that we can train therapists, but also can train teachers and trainers. And I know, Richard, that's something that's very dear to your heart too.
Absolutely. I love that so much because I think at the end of the day, we learn so much from teaching.
Yes.
We start to know all the things we didn't know that we didn't know because our students ask us questions and we have to either tell them, I don't know, or we have to think about it more and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear that.
Richard, how did you start deciding to teach?
Yeah. Well, of course, I've been very fortunate with all the learning from David and his Tuesday group, where I joined in the beginning of my career, but also Angela's Krumm, Matt Mays, and of course, a lot of awesome supervision from Angela Krumm and consultation from people like Jill Levitt. And honestly, it is like a dream come true that I had this opportunity to be supervised by Angela and met with her every week. And I do remember there was a point where eventually I got my level 3 certification. I asked Angela, what are we learning today? And I remember this like a very memorable moment because she said to me, that's really all I can teach you. You need to start teaching now. And I remember feeling a little hesitant and nervous and thinking, no, there's still so much more I can learn from you. And deep down, I was feeling really nervous and really unready. And I told myself, I'll start teaching later, maybe next week, maybe after I got licensed, or maybe when I felt more ready. And I remember it was like week after week, and nothing really came out of it. And Angela asked me, would you want to try a habit addiction log, an amazing tool that David has created? And I remember coming up with such amazing self-control thoughts that allowed me to push myself to the next level, which is I started telling myself teaching will help me learn even more. This is the opportunity to help others while continuing to grow myself. And I always say later, but later never comes. I'll have to start now. And that moment changed everything for me because I began teaching, starting in the group with Rhonda, but because I wasn't, not because I felt like completely ready, but because I realized growth often begins when we step into discomfort. So I share this story because it really marks the beginning of my journey as a teacher and trainer. And now my goal is to help more therapists become trainers because then even more people can benefit from this incredible model of therapy that David has created, TEAM CBT.
Is that one of the things that's happening in your group? You're teaching therapists how to become trainers?
Exactly. So I'm helping them grow in a lot of different ways. On one hand, building up a lot of the new skills and tools, but also wanting to teach them to eventually get to the trainer level, because once they start teaching more, they start learning more about all the things they didn't know that they didn't know. So it is a smaller group, so there's more attention towards giving feedback and helping them grow in very nuanced ways. That kind of fits to their style too. So a bit different than how I usually run my groups.
When does your trainer group meet, Richard?
So we meet on Monday Pacific Standard Time, but it's all in person in Mountain View at the Feeling Good Institute. We are keeping a little bit small at the moment, so if they're interested, I'm always happy to have a wait list for when people wanting to join in. I do have to warn everyone, it's a lot of hard work though. We put in a lot of homework and dedication to continue
Oh,
growing.
yeah. Yeah, right. But at any rate, you're saying, what time is it on Mondays?
Yeah, it's at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
12 to 2, noon to 2. And it's a small group, like 5 or something like that, or?
Yeah, 5 people.
Uh-huh, cool. Well, what are you going to what are you going to teach us today in this podcast? And tell us about these new tools that you're developing for, I think, for the general public, maybe for therapists as well. But for people who want to learn about TEAM CBT methods, one method at a time, and you've developed some kind of brief but clear and simple step-by-step kind of self-help, self-learning tools. Can you tell us what you're up to?
You just took the words out of my mouth there, David. Not too much I can add there, but let me try. So I think the concept of essentially Team CBT is to teach our patients how to use these skills and tools. And one of the things I realize is a little bit challenging is being able to um, teach them while they're not in therapy. And sometimes people forget how to do it, or they get into some challenges in terms of not knowing how to maneuver through certain nuances of the technique. So one thing I realized is if I made it very clear and concise and gave them the homework assignment to practice, they're able to improve. Very similar to, I guess, how we learn in general in school and in learning sports. You go to your trainer, you go to your teacher, and they teach you a specific skill or tool, like one specific tool, like addition or swinging a forehand swing for tennis. And you practice that throughout the entire week to get very good at it. And you come back to your teacher or come back to your coach and you ask them to review your work. And if it's great, wonderful, they move on to the next one. They teach you something else. But if not, they'll help you pivot it a little bit and figure out how to make it work for you. And in order to do that more concisely, I created some forms that helps people essentially do their own work in between sessions, or even on their own if they wanted to.
Well, if it's okay, I'll put some of them as links in the show notes, but maybe you could give us a rough idea of how one of them works. What would be the name of the tool that we would be learning about today, and how would we go about learning it using these cool tools that you're creating?
Absolutely. Happy to talk more about it. So I think probably one of my favorite techniques is the double standard technique, one that you've always teach, David. And sometimes I know it's a little bit hard to kind of talk to yourself as a dear friend. And sometimes it gets really confusing because there's so many different roles. So within this handout, and of course, David probably linked this in the podcast description, is there's going to be essentially like a story just to kind of show you how someone used it and how it worked within therapy. And then after that, it'll kind of go through step by step, one step at a time. So it's very clear and concise, and we're able to essentially just answer the questions and then get through the process and change your thinking. Because at the end of the day, we're going to come in with a negative thought and somehow generate a new positive thought using a very specific tool. And in this case, that would be like the double standard technique.
Yeah, I can think of 2 people right now who could use that exact tool. One is a young man I've never met, but I've corresponded with for years. He's lived somewhere in the East, and he's struggled with a very severe schizoaffective disorder. So he struggles with, bouts of intense paranoia and things of that nature. And he came to the webinar for the first time that Jill and I did a week or so ago, and kind of liked it. And he was struggling to understand the double standard technique. So it would be great to have that one, and I can maybe even email him with a link to it or something. And another is a young woman I've been working with in Iran who has been struggling with severe insomnia, and her problem isn't so much insomnia, but all these negative thoughts about the insomnia. And she really beats up on herself. And I was just trying to explain the double standard technique to her, you know, 2 days ago in an email. But it takes a lot of time and typing to explain these, and having some of these tools. It's an exciting idea. Now, let's say I get this double standard tool. It's probably 3 or 4 pages long and interactive. How does that flow go once I have that tool?
Yeah, well, how the flow goes is once you read the entire document, you have an idea of how to do it. And of course, you'll write down your negative thought. And then you're going to talk to yourself as if you were a dear friend. So you write down a statement that you would say to a dear friend who had a similar thought as you. And then you're going to ask yourself if you actually believe that, or if you're just bullshitting your friend. And hopefully it's the previous one and you're actually telling the truth. And then from there, that should help you relieve a little bit more of those negative thoughts. But most importantly, I think what's going to be like the part that creates more change is continuing to do that over and over again until it becomes essentially like your native language, right? Because I think oftentimes when we learn about therapy, we come in with a lot of negative thoughts. And let's imagine like our negative thoughts as English, our primary language. And if we were to essentially go to Mexico and we lived there for 5 years and we're now learning Spanish, we kind of get the flow of it and we eventually get to a point where we can speak Spanish. But then we decide we want to move back to the States, United States. And English comes back very easy to us. We can speak English, no problem. But then once we start to visit Mexico again after like 5 years, we're going to realize that speaking Spanish is actually very difficult. And it's because it's not our primary language. And the reason why I describe it like this is because English is like our primary language, and Spanish is like our positive thoughts, positive thinking, a different way to translate from negative to positive. So if we ever stop practicing the positive thinking, we'll fall back into the negative thinking. So the importance of this document is to have that continuous practice over and over again so it becomes more natural. You can speak to yourself that way. Hope that makes sense.
I love that. So I guess what you're saying is that Burns, who talks too much, has been saying for 50 years that the homework is the key to change. And now what you're saying is, yes, it is, and here's how to do it. and what you can do is take it on yourself to learn one tool per week and practice that tool using your template every day until it becomes more kind of second nature. And I just love that. And of course, when I was in clinical practice, I used to see up to 17 patients in a single day for full sessions. So I was practicing all day, and so that helped me learn it. And what you're saying is if you don't practice it, you might experience it once or be very impressed with it. But you've got to be changing the neural networks to it becomes more like a second language that you're, a little bit fluent in. And that's the effect that we're looking to help people change the way they think and feel on an ongoing basis. I don't know if I got that right.
Mm.
You got that 100% right. I think that's one of the benefits of your books too, David, where essentially it's like they're walking through this really awesome handbook where they're writing down everything, getting the practice into it. And I shared this story with you too before, David, where someone reached out to me and he wasn't feeling good, but he had your books. And he was telling me, why am I not feeling better? And I asked him if he's been doing the writing in the book. He told me no. So I told him, well, if you really want to feel better, you have to dedicate as much time as possible doing this work. And if you really wanted to work with me as one of my patients, then you have to put in a lot of hard work in order to see that change. And the more you put, the faster you'll recover. And then I think I probably went on vacation for 2 weeks before we had our first appointment. And then we had our first appointment, and he said to me, Richard, I came to this appointment not because I need it, but because I did exactly what you told me. I put in 8 hours every single day between that time we talked and the time that we had our appointment. And I feel so much better just reading David's book and doing the work over and over again. And I was so impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, you don't even need this session. You're already feeling so great. And that was like one of the most memorable moments of my life, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this really proves that exact thing that we're talking about here, David, where the hard work you put in will help you change your neural pathways and help you feel better in the long run.
So we might entitle this podcast "Over and Over Again!" exclamation point, the key to enlightenment, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Richard, one of the things that you taught in the Wednesday group, and I saw recently that you sent out one of your forms, was on the topic that I know is dear to David's heart, which is about acceptance. And I wonder if you could go talk a little bit about what your suggestions are for how to find peace when life isn't going your way, as you've titled your form.
Absolutely. Happy to talk about that. I think one thing, I remember we talked a little bit, David, and you were saying that acceptance is probably one of the most powerful methods. If you really learn to capture the acceptance, then nothing can really bother you. You're kind of at peace.
Yeah, it's so powerful, but so hard to learn. It's been, some people can get it relatively quickly, but most take a long time to get it, and they almost have to have it modeled with the externalization of voices in order to suddenly see it. It's one of those things where you have to experience it to grasp it. And in terms of words, it just goes in one ear and out the other. It's kind of like probably what the Buddha was trying to teach, I suspect, 2,500 years ago. So tell us the key now. How can we get ourselves to accept ourselves and experience that? Because we have a million resistances. I did a little research study on acceptance and the resistance to acceptance. And we tell ourselves, like, oh, I don't want to accept myself. That's like settling for second best. And I want to be special. I'm not going to give up on this drive to be special. So tell us the solution to that puzzle, and we will anoint you as the Buddha reincarnated.
Definitely on a lot of pressure here. Well, let me just kind of start with in therapy, like for you, David, I know you created the conceptualizations of individual mood, relationship, and habit. And I want to talk a little bit about mood and habit, because when we think about mood, we have to accept things as they are without anything changing. And habit is something where you can essentially change your habit for change. And when it comes to acceptance, it's more of kind of the mood side of things, of finding peace without anything changing at all. And oftentimes I remember I would tell people, oh, you just have to kind of accept it and they'll feel better. And essentially that's what a lot of people tell their friends too, just accept it and move on. But the question I commonly get is, how do you accept it? And that's something that I've struggled with a lot, and personally, and also helping people learn that professionally too. And some of the ideas that I come up with, of course, some of the things I thought about, and also some of the things some of my patients taught me too. And I put some names to it so it's easier to remember. Let's just kind of start with one first, which is something I call the win-win strategy, where oftentimes we're not at peace because we see things as a win or a lose. But if it was win-win, we'd be totally cool with it. So one way that we can do it is we can revise that loss into a win. So I'll give you a really quick example. I worked with someone who was wanting to get into varsity for basketball for his senior year in high school, and he was telling me that it'll definitely be a win if I can get that because I've been working so hard. But he felt so anxious, so nervous that he was worried that he can't perform well, so he wanted to lower his anxiety. So I
And
asked
he's in
how
high school. He's hoping to make the basketball team.
exactly to be
Okay.
in the varsity team rather than the
Yeah.
junior varsity. And so one of the things is he thought being in junior varsity would be a loss and being in varsity was going to be a big win. And he was so nervous about it. And he doesn't do well when he plays with a lot of anxiety. So he asked me to lower it. So I told him, how can we see this loss in a way as a win? So he kind of told me, well, I'm just really good at basketball, so I'd probably be really good if I was in JV. And that one didn't really hit home for him. And I asked him to think a little bit deeper. Why would it be like a huge win for him? And then he said to me, well, I'm going to college out of state, and my best friend is probably going to be staying in California. And he's going to be in JV for sure. He's not that good. And if I was in JV, I can spend every practice with him. We can have so much fun hanging out together. So if I ended up in JV, that's still a win because I get to be with my best friend for a whole year just hanging out before we part ways. And then suddenly he felt at peace. He's like, oh, I'm okay with either. I can either be in JV or varsity, it doesn't matter. And then he went in to his practice and he did extremely well because he didn't care about the outcome anymore. He was okay with either. Of course, he still preferred the varsity, but because his anxiety was lower, he performed really well and he got into varsity. So this kind of goes into your concept here, David, of the acceptance paradox. Once you start accepting things, you're actually more likely to get the thing that you want paradoxically. So I think that's one of the beauties of accepting.
So let me see if I got that, because I'm kind of at the fourth grade level, and as I get into my mid 80s, I'm kind of getting below the fourth grade level. Fourth grade level is when I was at my sharpest. But he was telling himself, it'd just be so fantastic if I'd make the varsity, and then he was all anxious and tied up and unhappy and worried about failure. And then you asked him to focus on, well, it would be a win if you get into the varsity, but what would be some of the cool things about getting into the junior varsity instead? And then he began to think about, well, he's really good, so he'll be, probably a star in the junior varsity, and that would be fun. And then he also had a friend who's in the junior varsity in some other school, and they could practice together and that type of thing. And he began to accept the fact that he might end up in the junior varsity and realize that there are a lot of positives in that option. And once he accepted it, then everything suddenly changed. And that's I call the acceptance paradox. That then he relaxed and made the varsity team because it didn't mean anything to him anymore. And when it didn't mean anything, it meant everything. It became everything.
Mm.
And
You
so,
are so good with summarizing this, David. I love it. That's exactly it.
okay. Um, yeah, and now is that one of many techniques for self-acceptance, or is that the only one?
Uh, I feel like there's so many, but I came up with five different ones, and that's just one of the five. We
Oh,
have time.
fine. Can you tell us some of the others too?
Yeah, happy to. So one of the other ones I like to call the butterfly effect, and I think a lot of people are familiar with the butterfly effect of you flap like a butterfly flaps its wings and it has a chain reaction. A lot of different things happen, and across the world something big happens. Um, and the example I like to give here is one of a really personal example for me where I I was running late to go see one of my patients at work and I was driving and I hit a red light and I was feeling really anxious and worried that I was going to be late. And I wanted to see a patient. And one of the really challenging parts is I hit a red light along the way and it made me even more nervous. And as soon as it turned green, I was ready to hit the gas and rush over to work. However, there was a car in front of me that didn't move, so I tried to be patient. However, he still didn't move, so I honked my horn, and he didn't move. So I honked it again and again and again. Eventually, he moved, and the light turned red on me. And I was so furious because I was thinking, I'm already late. And in that moment, I realized I'm a therapist. I can probably lower my anger. I just got to use the tools. So I decided to use this technique for acceptance, a butterfly effect. So how I did it was I thought to myself, this person just changed my chain of events that happened in my life. And maybe it's for a good reason. I choose to believe it's for a good reason because now he slowed down my thought process. He allowed me to realize it's better to drive safely than get there on time. So one of the things is I kind of felt more thankful that this person actually stopped me and paused me so that way I can drive more safely to work. And the crazy part about it is I drove like speed limit all the way there, and when I got there, my patient wasn't there. And I was looking around. Eventually, he walked in and he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I'm late." And I realized that now I'm actually the early one. So paradoxically, it kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, right. So let me see if I got this one. You were, getting pissed off on the way to work, and waiting for the light to turn green and wanting to put your foot on the accelerator and speed up and get to your patient on time. But you were behind another car who didn't move and didn't move and didn't move, and you got angry and started honking at that other car. And then you applied this butterfly concept that realizing, well, this this man in the car in front of me, by slowing me down here, making me sit here for a few extra seconds or quarter of a minute or whatever, has actually changed the trajectory of the rest of my life, and has maybe protected me from something, or maybe this there could be something really great in my life. And this is like your other technique because you look for the positives then and the negative.
Exactly.
Rather
So
than
you maybe
whining.
change the trajectory so that way I don't get into an accident because I'm racing to work, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, maybe I won't get into an accident. And then when you finally accepted it and relaxed and got there, you were actually, early because your patient was even later than you were.
Exactly.
So that's
So
called
all that stuff works.
the butterfly effect. So that's a cool one, and so these are new things. What the first one is called win-win, and the second one is called butterfly. Do you have this on one of your self-help tools? These 5 outlined?
I do. I do. Happy to send it your way to share with the public.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then I'll link to this in the show notes. Then people can study these 5 things. What are, just out of curiosity, what are the names of the other three techniques?
So the other one's more like a growth mindset. Next
Oh
one
yeah, growth
is,
mindset.
yeah, probably one that a lot of people are familiar with. And then the other is like a bigger picture, more spiritual, religious view of acceptance. And then lastly is more of a empathetic acceptance.
What's the spiritual view
Yeah.
of acceptance? I can tell you what my idea of it is.
Yeah, I think this one's a little bit more nuanced in that it's different for everyone because people have different religions and beliefs. But I can share a really quick story about how one person used it, which is very mind-blowing to me starting today too. Is that okay? Do we still have time to share that? Great. So
Oh yeah, I can share mine very very quick, which is the uh, uh, the idea is just the death of the special self. But this is hard for people to do. They don't want to do it, but they don't grasp it when you put it into words. But you accept the fact that you're just kind of below average in all kinds of ways, and achieve some humility and give up on this idea that people are going to love you because you're special. And when you get to be my age, you really have to accept yourself. Like I had to accept the fact when we were trying to record earlier that my hearing is shot, so I'm going to go and try to get a hearing aid on Friday. But the spiritual one is kind of the death and rebirth type of thing. That when you die, when your self dies, it's the realization that the whole idea that you have a self is just a nonsensical concept. But that the specific things you do, some things you do are average, some things are above average, some things are below average. And just feel grateful that somebody loves us just the way we are. That's kind of mine type of thing.
I love that. So much humility behind it. But not only that, you also have that death of the ego, death of the self. So that way things won't hurt you anymore. You can kind of realize things are what they are because that's how things is, rather than putting judgment onto it. And I can imagine that gives a lot of relief for a lot of people finding that acceptance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what's number 5?
The empathetic acceptance, where oftentimes we feel angry with other people. So it's more like a relationship type of acceptance.
Is that for yourself or for others?
For ourselves, when you're feeling angry with someone, you can find acceptance within their behaviors. And that one can be a really powerful one, very similar to a technique that you created, David, called force empathy.
When you're angry with someone, you accept the other person's behavior instead of judging them, and you also accept your own anger.
Absolutely. There's that self-acceptance and also acceptance of others too, right? So there's two versions of the acceptance there, which can feel a little bit harder because you're doing double the work, but I can imagine very helpful.
So what's your version of it, the empathic acceptance?
When this one happened for me, I was at, oh my gosh, I realized I'm going to share another story where I'm a really angry person. It was in San Francisco. Someone broke into my car. And I remember on the drive home, I was really angry because there was a lot of things in there that was really important to me, things that I just can't buy back. They're very sentimental things. And I realized I was like furious, shaking in anger. And I realized I need to find some peace within this and I have to use some acceptance. So I asked myself what type of person would do this. And I know in San Francisco, there's a lot of homeless people. So I'm imagining maybe someone who's homeless broke into my car. And I started feeling really angry. I was like, that doesn't help. So I had to kind of give them a story, help help myself understand them a little bit more. Because if they had the option of being a billionaire or a life of homelessness, they'd probably pick the life of being a billionaire. And they probably didn't choose this life. They're probably struggling in a lot of different ways through mental health. Maybe they didn't have a good family life. Maybe they were brought up in a different way that led them down this path. And as soon as I started creating this story for this person, this imaginary person, suddenly I had more peace and more calm. I didn't agree with them stealing my things, but I understood their background and why they did it. So that helped me feel tremendously less angry on my drive home.
So you gave your story depth.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So anger is one of the things within you that you work on a lot.
Absolutely. It comes up often. I just got to use the skills and tools that you've taught me, David, to lower it and feel better.
Yeah. I think that's actually one of the areas where people say, why don't you say more about blame and anger and entitlement, David, in your books and podcasts and things. And so I've been thinking about it lately, but I think your work on acceptance can be some of your most important contributions to TEAM CBT or to whatever we're doing. I think your contributions on the technical level of breaking things down into their step-by-step components is also tremendously important, but is quite different from helping people grasp things like acceptance. And what you were just saying is that when someone broke into your car, you got really pissed off. And I've had that type of fantasy myself. There have been burglaries they talk about on Nextdoor, people breaking into people's houses. And I've had fantasies, man, if I had a gun, I could, just blow them away. And just thinking how gratifying that would be and fantasizing it. And then what you were doing, your escape route from that anger, should you wish it. I mean, some people might want to just be angry and be holier than thou. And we see that politically. It seems like that's one of two ways of approaching life: the love-based approach to life and the kick-ass approach to life. But what was helpful to you to relieve you from the suffering you were creating yourself with your anger was to ask yourself, what would motivate somebody to break into a car and take some things? And they're probably, struggling. They need money for food, for drugs, for whatever. And that when you saw that, then the compassion you felt was kind of like an antidote to your anger, if I got it.
You got that 100%. I think one of the biggest realizations that came for me is just because we feel less angry with someone doesn't mean we approve of what they're doing. We can understand but not agree at the same time. I think that was something that was really powerful for me to be able to lower my anger, lower the negative emotions.
Yeah, we used to say understanding isn't accepting. You don't accept, oh yeah, it's okay, I'm going to leave my car out and anyone could break into it. You don't want to accept that behavior, but you're understanding the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And you're accepting more of a peace in your own heart when you understand the behavior. Richard, you also have a spiritual focus on acceptance that I think David would really appreciate hearing about, and our listeners too.
That's number 4, right?
Yep, number 4, you got it. So this one, I really like this story because it really sticks out to me even till today, where someone came to me, she was Catholic, and one of the things, she started getting panic attacks. She felt like she didn't have control of her life. Of course, we did the interoceptive exposures to help with that. But one thing that really bothered her was she wanted a really big family. She wanted like 8 children, but she only had 3. And I remember she could not accept it. She went from doctor to doctor, expert to expert, and they told her, you're not physically able to have kids anymore. And she would not agree. And she's like, it has to be possible. And she started feeling really angry with God. And I remember going through a lot of the work that, the framework that David has created. And at one point, I remember asking her, if we really wanted to accept this, we have to accept this from a religious point of view. And for you, what does that look like? And she said to me, well, I know I'm supposed to follow in God's path. And right now I'm choosing a different path. I'm trying to create my own. And who am I to question God? I should listen to him and just follow his path because he knows what's right is right for me. As soon as she said that, she had tremendous relief. And she went home that day feeling great. And then she called me a few weeks later and she said to me, Richard, you won't believe this. I'm pregnant.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I've had that. That's kind of my career footprint or logo or something. I've had so many women who came to me because they couldn't have children, and that's how I came into existence because my parents were told that too, and they wanted children, so they adopted 3 instead, and then I came along. Unexpectedly, but I've certainly I think I've had at least 5 or 10 women that I've treated in the last few years who all had problems that they were trying to reconcile to the fact that they couldn't have children, and that was one of our most popular podcasts. It's I think it's the podcast. You might be able to find it, Rhonda. Like what's the meaning of life? It was Daisy.
Daisy.
And she had, they were trying so hard to have kids and trying in vitro fertilizations, and nothing was working. And then so it was really a popular podcast at the time. It was, aside from number one, that's always your most popular because everyone starts there. But it was just about our most popular podcast. I haven't looked it up recently.
That was 79.
Yeah. Number 70. And what was it called?
What is the secret of a meaningful life?
Oh yeah,
Live therapy with Daisy.
Yeah, the secret of a meaningful life.
But we also had the two with Carly. That was 268 and 269.
Oh yeah, 268 and 269. That was Carly.
Right.
But there were a whole bunch of them. There was that really sweet woman from India.
Right, that's 345.
That's 345. And what was her first name, or what's the name of it?
The name of that podcast is "What If My Family Rejects Me?"
Oh yeah, what yeah? What if my family rejects me? So when you have a patient who can't have children, and they've been told by doctors they can't, and it's pretty much written in stone, and then they end up getting pregnant a week or two after seeing you, do you get a surcharge for that?
I wouldn't feel right doing that.
Or maybe they could name their children after you.
Yeah.
But definitely, it felt like a miracle in the moment. I guess the surcharge was that huge rush of positive feelings that came up for me. Because I remember asking her, because I was very surprised. I asked her, like, what do you mean? Like, experts said you couldn't. And I remember she said to me, after that day, when you told me the whole acceptance piece, I went home and realized I wasn't doing a good job being a mother for my three children. So I fixated on being the best mom for the three. And that's when God knew I was ready to have more children.
Oh, I love that.
That was like very, very amazing.
I see.
I'm not just myself, but that made me wonder a little bit. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. You and Jill Levitt are two of our top technicians in terms of conceptualizing things, putting them into step-by-step, making them teachable and understandable. And we'll certainly have a bunch of your tools here in the show notes for people who are interested, and people who are really interested can come to you for training or therapy or whatever. But it seems like half of the work that we do is on a technical level. And then it seems like half of the work we do is on what you could call more of a spiritual level. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
Yeah. I think on one hand, we can say all the logical things, all the technical things as much as we can and do the work. But there's also that emotional, spiritual piece that comes along with it that creates that big change for us.
Yeah. And once you've become enlightened, life doesn't stop having bumps in the road. But it's just that you have a little extra measure of something to fall back on. I really noticed that with our Feeling Good app, that now has become the Feeling Great app. And it's been technically a huge success because it works really quickly for people, better than human therapists. It's not therapy; it's just a self-help device, but it's way more effective than I ever dreamed would be possible. But it was selling so poorly, we just stopped trying to sell it, and we've just been giving it away for the past 6 months. But one thing that's been helpful for me is to tell myself I don't care if the app is successful or not. Because eventually our investor money will run out, and then we'll have to stop. And that's probably going to happen. It's sad because I think it's the biggest breakthrough in psychiatry or psychology in the past 50 years is the tool we've developed. And I'm glad I'm not narcissistic, or I would say really glowing things about it. But I really think it's incredibly important, and it looks like it is going to fall by the wayside. But I can just tell myself, and I still hope it won't. We're trying every day. I've published 4 articles about it in Psychology Today, just a pop psychology journal, but it's it has a lot of outreach, and so we're doing everything we can to let people know. But I'm able to tell myself that my capacity for happiness doesn't rest on this. My worthwhileness, the amount that people are going to love me or want to hang out with me, they don't really care about that at all. So it gives me a kind of freedom. Not caring gives you the capacity to care in a different way.
Absolutely. I love that. You also have a lot of acceptance behind that too, right? Finding more peace and calm behind it. Of course, I secretly hope that the app goes really well, because I think that could be such a good supplement for everyone within their life. And so if you imagine someone who wants to get 6-pack abs, they work really hard, they get the abs, and they have to continue at it. If they don't, they lose it. And I think this app is something that helps supplement the work, continue the work, ongoing, to help you continue to grow mentally and really foster that, maintain that good mental health style. And
I've never understood that thing about people are, breaking their buns to get 6-pack abs, working in the gym relentlessly. Because for me, it's always been a natural, I guess, that I was born with. And if you've ever seen me with my shirt off, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, your 8-pack abs. That's right.
Yeah. It's kind of unbelievable. And I know I've won a lot of bodybuilding competitions and things like that.
Yeah, that's your second career.
But Rhonda knows. She's seen me with my shirt off, right, Rhonda?
Yes, it's Brad Pitt.
I remember when my mother-in-law first saw a movie with Clint Eastwood with his shirt off, and she went, gag. I thought he was this real awesome, heavy duty bad dude. And he's this elderly fellow, which is kind of what I am, I'm afraid.
Nice. Richard, it sounds like you're doing such exciting work and so heartwarming.
Yes, it is. And you two, how did you two get along, especially with Richard, you being this angry guy?
I don't know. I guess Rhonda's just very patient with me, how angry I am.
I've never seen Richard's angry side.
Yeah.
Luckily, I practice a lot of David's tools, so it's been helpful.
We got along great. We were really great co-teachers together, and it was super fun to work with Richard.
What was the most fun thing about working with Richard, Rhonda?
Well, Richard brings a lot of new ideas, so I could be a teacher and a student as well.
Oh, yeah, right.
I do remember one moment that I just cherished dearly, and I just love it so much, Rhonda, because you helped me grow so much. Where sometimes when I get really excited about a topic, I can go on and just bulldoze everyone and not allow them to talk. And I remember Rhonda wanted to talk to me one day, and she gently brought it up to me, and I felt so embarrassed. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing opportunity for me to change and grow and really hyper focus on other people around me as I speak. So,
well, I hope I said it nicer than that, Richard.
Super nice. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine having that
That
conversation
problem
again.
of talking too much is alien to me, actually. And I'd like to explain that to you, going back to my earliest childhood days and bringing it up to the current moment. Yeah, I know what you mean, Richard. Yeah, it's kind of an ailment some of us have. When I was little, somebody once said that they thought I had diarrhea of the dictionary.
You know what else was really great about working with you, Richard, was that we did personal work with people in our Wednesday group.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I thought that it was really fun to be a co-therapist with Richard. We complemented each other really well, and it's great to work with somebody like Richard.
Did you get really good results?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, there's
Rhonda's
something
always
about that.
amazing. She always gets good results. I'm kind of like in between.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
it's
Yeah.
a
There's
mutual
something
admiration
about the
society.
co-therapy model. I think that's very powerful. And I think when two parents love each other and support each other, that's kind of like the co-therapy model. I think it really works well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. And you and Jill work so well together. Every time I watch you two, I'm like, oh my God, it's so amazing. That's
Yeah.
what
Well,
me and Rhonda were thriving for.
Yeah, exactly.
working with Jill is like working with a giant. I work with her as much as I can because she makes me look so good.
She is
But it's
great.
neat to have two people because you can share ideas, and I don't know, it just creates a kind of magic. Well, it's been great having you today, Richard, and you've been very patient with us. We had all those audio problems before we got started, and but we really appreciate you and love you, and I'll be working on the show notes and send them to you before we post them. And good luck with your new group and with your new tools that you're developing. And I hope some people in the group start using those tools as well as learn the wisdom from what you're saying, because what you're saying is that keeping in emotional shape is like keeping in physical shape.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep up with your daily exercise. And I hate my daily exercise. I've never had a runner's high or any beneficial effects from exercise. So I really have to force myself to do it. But if you if you keep up with your daily writing down your negative thoughts and challenging them, or using your self-help tools, or doing the exercises in the books or whatever, then you'll continue to learn and grow, and these skills will become a part of you. And if you don't do those exercises, the written exercises in particular, or role play exercise, if you have a practice partner, and you can practice with our app also. That if you don't do that, you're just not going to get it. You're just not going to learn it.
Exactly.
And to put it the other way around, if you do practice and work with it, there's no way you can stop learning and growing and getting stronger and stronger.
Mm. Absolutely, 100% agree with you. And I just want to say I'm very honored to be here today with the amazing David and beautiful and lovely Rhonda. So thank you for having me.
Richard, thank you for taking the time.
Did you mean the amazing and beautiful David and Rhonda?
The amazingly handsome David.
Thank you. We've loved having you here today too, Richard. It was just a hunch that I said, gosh, let's get Richard on a podcast. And I'm really glad that we did that.
Yeah.
Same here.
So let us know when you got something new that you need to come back and tell our podcast fans about.
Absolutely.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good Podcast.